Good afternoon. It's Thursday, July the 15th, and on what has turned out to be a bright, warm and sunny afternoon, I'm back in the reading nook with a nice hot cup of tea and a big box of books. Now I took advantage of the sale on drivethrurpg.com of their premium books to pick up a lot of things I didn't have and wanted to get. So I'm just going to do a quick, basically a browse through this box. I'm not going to look at anything in particular in any depth. So I'm packing. So the first one we have is Warpstar, which is the science fiction equivalent of Warpstone, and they are stripped down, really simple role-playing games inspired by classic grim and perilous role-playing games. One science fiction, so for Warpstar, and one fantasy for Warpstone. So Warpstar is obviously influenced by Warhammer 40,000, but it uses very different mechanics. A d20, roll and add, beat 20 and you succeed. But the sensibility is still one of grim and perilous adventure. I will be reviewing this in due course. I had a look at Warpstone and its companion. I will get to this in the near future. This is from Fire Ruby Designs. So, picking up next, and you're going to pick up a bit of a theme here. Next is Citizens of the Lunar Empire by Chris Gidlow, and this has come off the Jonstown Compendium, and it's a guide to essentially one building, the equivalent of an apartment block in the city of Glamour in the Lunar Empire in Glorantha. Really nice book. I've looked at it before. Fantastic artwork. So, for example, you have essentially individual first glance, and basically the person who lives there, some details about them, basically their stats, and this is for RuneQuest role-playing in Glorantha. And if you are running a Lunar campaign, this is a fantastic edition. I've already done an unboxing of this because I borrowed a copy, and that's something that will run throughout this set of this recording, this video, because essentially it's me catching up with some books I didn't have. So I've already done an unboxing of this, and I'll do a review of it in due course. But if you're looking for urban adventures in Glamour, then this is a good choice, and it's obviously available on the drive-through RPG. Next, going down, something I've not seen before, thin hardback, and this is the Rostakori Clan book, source book for RuneQuest Roleplaying by Paul Baker, and it includes background of the Rostakori Clan, details of their key figures, and new skills, rune magic, and so on. Cults and Myths of the Volandi or Lanthi cult, a short adventure outline for 6 Rostakori clansmen, and expands on the detail found in the Red Deer saga. And this supports there's a trilogy of adventures. I've reviewed some of the adventures, and they're a little messy. They need a little bit of work to bring out fully. But if you can take them, and if you have some experience with the setting, you can build on them. This gives you basically an overview and gives you a lot of context and basically background material to run with those. Next, what we have is this is Tradition Sandheart Volume 3. Now, I've done an unboxing of this, definitely done one of these, and it's a scenario for RuneQuest Role-Playing in Glorantha. And it's an investigative scenario which is played over multiple sessions, sort of multiple years, and really kind of should really be run as sort of like a basically as a framework, so that in one session the player characters go and do this task, and then they have to go and do it again the next year. Something else happens, and so on and so on. They keep repeating it until you get up to the denouement of this scenario. But it's got great artwork, including, see where I can find it. This is just a brilliant piece of artwork. The conceit of it. If I can find it. Here we go. Essentially, it's the equivalent of the VW camper van full of hippies, but instead of it being a camper van, it's essentially it's basically it's a sat on the back of a rhino, and that's brilliant. I actually love that. So what else we've got next? We'll go basically cut back to volume 1. And again, I've reviewed all of these Sandheart Tales of Sun County Militia Sandheart volume series. Really enjoyed them. They're investigative scenarios in which the player characters are misfits. Essentially, the non-conformists, members of the Sandheart County Militia, and you get a set of pre-gens which you can play. And these scenarios basically are investigative in nature, and this is the first one. And essentially, what you should do is run this, and then start running the first one in here, then get another scenario, slot it in, and so on. And there are 3 books so far. And again, the next one in here is the Corndolls Fortunate Son, 2 scenarios. For the setting, and this is the middle one. So you've got content which basically you are building around the campaign structure in the 3rd volume, and this adds further to it. Essentially what's going on here, and again I've done a review of this, really enjoyed them. These are all really good, and essentially if you want to do sort of like a classic kind of setup for your campaign of traditional adventure and role-playing, where basically the character has some authority to go investigate and enforce the local customs and law, then the Sandheart setting is perfect for that. Okay, and then next we have 60s in Sartar, a campaign for RuneQuest role-playing in Glorantha from Andrew Logan Montgomery. This is arguably one of the best books on the Jonstown Compendium. It's a complete campaign, played over 6 seasons, with the characters going through their initiation and becoming adults and having adventures, and their clan basically suffering the consequences of politics outside of their enclave, because essentially their clan resides in the mountains in this narrow valley. They don't leave very often, but essentially so they don't necessarily interact with the outside world, but eventually the outside world comes and interacts with them, and it doesn't go well. And player characters usually start off as 15 or 16 and end up as basically a year older at the end of this first book. If you want to buy one single book from the Jonstown Compendium, it's this. Basically, because it gives you everything you need to play a campaign. You've got the core rules. Don't need anything else apart from this. Okay, and this is really, really good. Below this, we have Life of Monsoon, Book 2, the Freeform. This is essentially the rules for everything that none of the players knew before the 50-player live-action role-playing game began. This is an update and representation of a 50-player LARP, which was run about 20 years ago or so. You can find the original on eBay very occasionally. I found a copy of it, but this has been redone and represented as probably one of the most expensive versions, in essence, because essentially it's taken that content, really that was done as small booklets, and presented it as hardbacks, full colour, all of the NPCs, all the player characters, illustrated with film references. So if you have a look closely, you can see just who those characters might be inspired by, or rather, essentially, the characters are basically, how can I put it, who would play them if this was a movie. What else we got below this? We have Life of Monsoon, book 1, the characters. This is the last book in this box, and that presents all of the characters who would play this. So again, you can see different characters there, inspired by different basically actors and performers. More on the back. And this is just basically the characters, what they want, describing who they are, and so on. Let's just look through. Colonel of the Grim Soldiers, Miros, Condodin. There we go. And complete background for him and what he wants. So background, him and the Dara happen, Tripolis, the Cult of Danfire Zaron, Empress Unspoken Word, and so on. Recent missions and objectives, personal, career, and religious. Who you know, so on. So literally, there's you have for this one character, and it's all the same for all these characters. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. 6 pages just on that character. Basically, just really fascinating, interesting characters. All members of the Lunar Empire, and we get to like Moonson or Gentis, the Red Emperor. But he only gets 4 pages, but it's enough because it's such a big role, I suppose. But again, we have more and more NPCs. So I haven't reviewed all of these. I have some of these, some of them I haven't. I will get to these at some point. Obviously, they're quite heavy books to get through at this point. So there'll be more of the Jonstown, more fodder for the Jonstown Compendium. Reviews, the Jonstown Jotting series. As I say, I've got about 4 books that I haven't reviewed, and that will keep me busy for a while. So that's everything in that box. I say these are all the premium books, basically better colour, better printing, that kind of thing. So this then, okay, is quite some unboxing. I don't normally unbox quite that many books, but essentially there's a lot in here that I have already unboxed and or reviewed. So there was no point in doing it one by one. So if you've enjoyed this sort of like mass unboxing, then please do click the like button down below. If you want to see if you've got any comments or feedback, then please add those. I appreciate you taking the time to do those. And then if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, then please do subscribe. And then so what you will get is a box, typically a lot smaller than this box, an interesting book that I can chat about for approximately 10 minutes. And let's not forget, nice hot cup of tea. Yeah, basically 10 minutes of your time. So thanks again for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. I'll be back again with another unboxing in the Nook very soon. Bye for now.